comedian and fucking outlaw, David Boyle, who's quitting alcohol like any outlaw would do because it got too much for him. Got too fucking much for him. So I've been trying to find ways to break my phone addiction, and I love reading. I've always read. When I say I've always read, I started reading at like 28. I started seriously reading at about 18, like proper books, the classics and shit like that. Before that, it was mainly sports autobiographies, how to get rich quick, schemes, some self-helpy crap, all that sort of shit. Sometimes books find you. They have a knack of finding you. One book that actually found me was Notes from the Underground by Fyodor Dostoevsky. I was in Sydney and I'd just been on a fucking bender, and I was walking down Oxford Street and I was just completely fucked, feeling like I was going to die. And I used to hang out in libraries because I had no job. So I just went to libraries and bookstores and shit like that and just hung out and read. And I was stumbling down Oxford Street, went into a bookstore. I was so fucked I couldn't even read the spines of the books. So I just stuck my hand out, pulled out any old fucking book. And it was Notes from the Underground by Dostoevsky. And I opened it up. Didn't know who Dostoevsky was. I didn't know what the fuck it was. And the first sentence of the first page was, I am a sick man. I am a spiteful man. I am an unattractive man. I believe my liver is diseased. And I was like, yep, found me. And I bought that, and it's a fucking great book. Anyway, if a gun was put to my head as what is my favourite book of all time, I would have to say Tropic of Capricorn by Henry Miller. Henry Miller's my man. Again, if you put a gun to my head and said, who's your favourite fucking author? Pick one. I'd have to say Henry Miller. There'd be a Steinbeck in there. There would be Hunter S. Thompson around abouts. Maybe even Kerouac somewhere. Maybe not Kerouac. Dostoevsky would be floating around as well, but I fucking love Henry Miller. Anyway, I was at university, and I got stuck in a reading loop. You know how when you're on Netflix or some shit and you've watched everything and you're trying to find a new show and you just get stuck floating around looking at shit you're not going to watch, and then you end up back on some shit you've already watched. That's what I was doing with reading, and then I was like, fuck, I need to break this loop. And I started thinking about what fucking books should I read. And for some reason, I don't know why or how, I thought of Seinfeld. I was a massive Seinfeld fan growing up. There's an episode where Jerry lends George a book from back in college. George never returns it. Some guy gets him. Anyway, you get the picture. The book Jerry lent George was Tropic of Capricorn by Henry Miller. For some reason, Tropic of Capricorn popped into my head, and it was like Notes from the Underground. I opened it up, and at this stage of my life, it just sung to me, and I was hooked from the very first page. So I'm going to read you the first page. I mean, it's a bit much that I'm reading you a fucking page of a book, but it's my favourite book, and it's the first page of my favourite book. So fucking listen or don't. So here it is, the first page of Tropic of Capricorn by Henry Miller. Once you have given up the ghost, everything follows with dead certainty, even in the midst of chaos. From the beginning, it was never anything but chaos. It was a fluid which enveloped me, which I breathed in through the gills. In the substrata where the moon shone steady and opaque, it was smooth and fecundating. Above it was a jangle and a discord. In everything, I quickly saw the opposite, the contradiction, and between the real and the unreal, the irony, the paradox, I was my own worst enemy. There was nothing I wished to do which I could just as well not do. Even as a child, when I lacked for nothing, I wanted to die. I wanted to surrender because I saw no sense in struggling. I felt that nothing would be proved, substantiated, added or subtracted by continuing an existence which I had not asked for. Everybody around me was a failure, or if not a failure, ridiculous. especially the successful ones. The successful ones bored me to tears. I was sympathetic to a fault, but it was not sympathy that made me so. It was a purely negative quality, a weakness which blossomed at the mere sight of human misery. I never helped anyone expecting that it would do any good. I helped because I was helpless to do otherwise. To want to change the condition of affairs seemed futile to me. Nothing would be altered, I was convinced, except for a change of heart. And who could change the heart of men? Now and then a friend was converted. It was something to make me puke. I had no more need of God than he had of me. And if there were one, I often said to myself, I would meet him calmly and spit in his face. Thank you, Henry Miller. Now, I don't know if I did that complete justice. I don't know if I'll be getting an Audible contract, but I just thought I just thought I'd reach out. Something I like, alright? The funny thing is I'm not even talking to anyone, I'm actually talking to myself. That's me convincing myself that wasn't fucking embarrassing. Alright, that's me done. Hope you enjoyed it. Go fucking read that book as well. It's a good alcoholics book. Alright, that's it. See you later.